Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 10th meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. My name is Jay Minkara, ZBA Chair. Directly to my right is Josh Neely, Vice Chair, followed by JP Boucher, a member, Robert Shaw, a member, Steve Lionel, a member, and Joe Patry, who is an alternate. We do have a full complement of 5 zoning board members this evening. So alternates are free to participate in all the discussions, but they won't be voting. So Mr. Patry won't be voting unless somebody on the board has to recuse himself. So just in terms of the overall business, so we have 2 types of applications before us this evening. We have applications for special exceptions and for variance. So a special exception is a use that's allowed under the zoning ordinance under certain conditions. A variance is a request to deviate from the specifics of the ordinance, and in order for the board to find in favor and grant a variance, we have to find that 5 points of law are met. That the application is within the public interest, that it's in the spirit of the ordinance, that granting the variance would result in substantial justice, that there'd be no diminution of surrounding property values, and that owing to some special condition in the property, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship to the applicant. So in terms of the order of business, each applicant, I will read the case in the record, and then each applicant will be asked to come up to the podium, and you'll have 15 minutes to present your case. You don't have to take the full 15 minutes, but it is available to you. After that, I'll ask if there's anybody in the audience who wants to speak in favor of the application. Anybody who wants to speak can come forward to the mic, and we'll have 5 minutes in which to state your support. Again, it's up to you to use the 5 minutes. You don't need to use it if you don't want to. Following that, I'll ask if anybody in the audience has any questions, concerns, or opposition. And once again, anybody who wishes to speak in opposition or with questions or concerns can come up to the mic and has 5 minutes. Following that, we allow the applicant to come forward, and we'll have another 5 minutes to rebut any of the comments that were made. And then finally, we will allow one person in opposition to come forward and have the last say. We don't always have that happen, but sometimes we do. So with that, I'm not going to take actually questions, but hopefully that all makes sense for everyone. And I think with that, I'm going to call the roll. Mr. Neely.
Present.
Mr. Boucher.
Present.
Mr. Shaw.
Present.
Mr. Lionel.
Present.
Mr. Patry.
Present.
And I will also note that directly to my left is Deputy Planning Manager Carter Falk, who probably many of you have had an opportunity to work with. Mr. Falk, are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No, there are not.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to call the first case. So the first case is the application of Lisa Cherkasky and Seth Mandel of 14 Tampa Street, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-112 to work in the 75-foot prime wetland buffer of Nashua Cove, to remove 2 dead or diseased trees in the wetland buffer. That's in the RB zone, Ward 4. Is the applicant present this evening? Please come forward and present your case. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but anytime anybody comes to address the board from the mic, we just ask that you state your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cherkasky, 14 Tampa Street. It's my husband.
Seth Mandel, 14 Tampa Street.
Excellent. So just tell us what you'd like to do and why.
So we'd like to have, before the Conservation Board and discuss with them, we'd like to have 2 trees, not necessarily taken down after discussing with the Conservation Board, but they suggested that they cut them down 12 feet. And the reason being is we had concerns about the trees. I did call an arborist to come and look, because I'm not a tree expert, neither is my husband. So we had an arborist come and look, and he deemed the trees to be diseased. The tree closest, I want to say, to the bank to our house is the bark is falling off. There's a hole at the bottom that chipmunks are in and out of. There's parts of the branches up at the top that have fallen into another tree or on what I call the bank. So we have concerns. I want you to understand I'm an avid bird watcher. I've tracked wildlife that has come in the back there. I call it the pond, but it's the Nashua River. My neighbors here could tell you I'm always outside with a camera. So it's not a decision that we took lightly, why we call the arborist. But we do have to be practical that this tree could fall on our house. So we asked, we got the information arborist presented to the Conservation Board, and that's why we're here. We'd like to cut the trees down so that we don't have that worry of them falling onto the house. I mean, they could fall into the bank, but the one I think closest to, I want to say the bank, the one that's closest here looks like it could fall this way. So, and that's our concern. It's a practical safety concern for us, for our home, so. But again, we didn't take the decision, we didn't say, okay, we're just going to cut trees down. We didn't take it lightly. Like I said, I'm an avid bird watcher. I've been a member of Project Feeder Watch for over 15 years. The information I collect from my bird feeders from November 1st to April 30th, I submit to Project Feeder Watch, which is Cornell University, and they track migration. I've been part of, when I lived on Alt Street, I was part of their house finch, conjunctivitis following house finch. I have done, with them this year, they asked about how we use the bird feeders, what kind of food do we use. So I'm part of different little projects with them, so did not take this lightly. I just want you to.
And the Conservation Board did mention, or did recommend to leave a 12-foot stump, if you will, with any connecting branches to have them split.
And vertical sliced, right, so that the tree will naturally deteriorate. And you're leaving it there for wildlife, for insects, other wildlife, some of the birds, and things like that. So.
And obviously, you're okay with that?
Yeah, we're good with that.
And you did have a chance to go through the affidavit. I noticed it is signed and it's in the packet. And
Yes.
you agree to all those terms?
Yes.
There we go. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing. We're open to planting other bushes, planting another tree. Although there are several trees there, there are several saplings growing. I think it'll give the other tree a chance. Two of the trees that are on the side are kind of growing this way because those two trees have taken up room. One of the trees to the left has a big branch in it that had fallen off the one particular tree. So it's more like now a safety issue that we're concerned about. So.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Shaw?
Just a minor one, but do you have, I'm just curious, how tall the trees actually are? Do you actually know specifically, or just?
They're pretty tall.
Yeah.
We don't have an idea. I should ask the arborist, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I think it's probably, it seems like it's one of those things that's pretty obvious from their height and what you've said, and just that if the tree one of those trees was to come down towards your house, that it would not fall short, it would hit the house, right?
I think they're honey locust trees, so they grow pretty tall.
Yeah.
You've seen them throughout Nashua, so they're pretty tall.
Yeah, and our neighbor had one of the storms, I don't know, 2-3 years ago.
Right, we had an oak tree that, thank goodness, it fell into
into the
the river, so, it could be unsettling of the bank as well, so another thing that we have to.
Thank you.
Well, it does require 110-foot cranes.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's not sure.
Not the 90 or whatever.
Right. Anybody else on the board have any questions? All right, if you have nothing, unless you have something else to add, you're free to take a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak with any questions, concerns, or opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it up to the board for deliberation. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Shaw?
Seems very straightforward. The criteria will be met. I think there's very appropriate reasons why they are doing this, and it seems like it's actually, in this case, the owners seem like if they would probably prefer not to, but given the circumstance, I think it's the appropriate thing to do and understand the reasons why. So, yeah, and I think again, it meets the criteria, so I'm full support.
Agreed. Mr. Lionel?
Yeah, I'm also in support. The Conservation Commission signed off on it, and the owners are willing to accept the stipulations that the Concom gave, so, and it's perfectly reasonable.
Any other thoughts? Anybody want to make a motion? Mr. Shaw?
I'd like to make a motion on behalf of the owners, Lisa Tchaikovsky and Seth Mondell, at 14 Tampa Street, sheet 130, lot 109, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-112 to work in the 75-foot prime wetland buffer of the Nashua Cove to remove 2 dead/diseased trees in the wetland buffer. This is in the RB zone, Ward 4. The requested use is listed as a special exception, as noted in the description. Secondly, the requested use will not create any undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. Quite frankly, if anything, there might be a vague chance of improvement of pedestrian safety for just the folks, the owners and their immediate neighbors. The requested use will not overload any public water drainage sewer systems or any other municipal systems. Again, this is a case of it's a very, very limited time and effort as far as the work being done in the buffer, and actually with the noted recommendation from the ComCon as far as the cutting height of the trees, that will go that much further towards not impacting the area that is being worked in. The special regulations set forth in this article are fulfilled as noted by testimony and what was supplied in the application. The wetland standards criteria are met, and there's no indication of it that this would impair anything with the integrity, biotic character within the district or immediate neighborhood in which it's located, nor be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. And I'll note, referred to the CONCOM, the recommendations from the Conservation Commission will be part of this requirement and have already been agreed to by the applicant. So therefore, I move to approve this special exception.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lionel. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? So your application is approved unanimously. There is a 30-day window of appeal, so just be mindful that that's a possibility. I think it's unlikely since there doesn't appear to be any opposition, just so that you know that, but you are free to proceed with your project. Thank you. I'm now going to read the second case into the record. This is the application of Eric P. Wolf Revocable Trust, 39 Ald Street, requesting a variance from Land Use Code Section 190-16, Table 16-3, to encroach 6 feet into the required 10-foot front yard setback on Burke Street, to construct an exterior staircase to provide ingress/egress to the second floor. This is in the RB zone in Ward 7. Is the applicant present this evening? Oh, there you are.
39 Ald Street.
So feel free to go ahead and tell us what it is you want to do and why.
What we're looking to do is, currently I have tenants that live up on the second floor. They occupy the second floor of the house. But they enter through the front door of the home and proceed up the stairs through another door. What I'm looking to do is create a private entrance so that they no longer have to come through the front of the house. The purpose in that is to isolate the first floor room for another person to occupy, which is my son's mother. We were previously married, but no longer are. So basically, sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm just trying to make plans for the future, for myself, my ex-wife, and my son, so that because we're getting older, I want to make sure that we're all secure, and then, of course, in the finality, to secure the home for my son.
Understood. Take your time.
Apologize about that.
It's okay.
So anyways, it's within the confinement of the property line. It will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, threaten the public health, safety, or welfare, otherwise injure any public rights. The proposal use does not conflict with the explicit implicit purpose of the ordinance and does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, threaten public. I'm reading through the questions, basically. Property owner intends to provide home ownership for his son to secure good care for his son's mother, Kylie Wolf. Affordable living for the people, basically, who live in the upper rooms of the apartment. And I think that finishes the purpose and reasons for the request for a variance.
Okay. Does anybody in the board have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Shaw?
I guess I just want to make sure, and maybe even Mr. Falk can help me out with this, but I actually, when I initially read the application, and then, I thought you were actually maybe adding a stairwell on the outside to go up to the second floor, but if I'm understanding correctly, it's really just this relatively low set of steps that get
Yes.
to the first floor level. You're
Yes.
building a door there, and then there'll be an interior stairwell that goes to the second
Correct.
floor?
If you have, do you have the pictures?
Yeah, we have the picture, so.
So if you look at the right side,
Yeah,
that's the existing entryway to the back of the house. It would look very similar to that.
okay.
And then, so there would just be a door there, and then once you got in that door, you would be going up the stairs. Instead of coming through, if you look at that window on the left,
Right.
far left, that's the front room of the house that we're looking to isolate.
Okay.
So, once we get that private entrance, then we can isolate that room, and it can be occupied.
And maybe there's the question for Mr. Falk. So it's really just mostly the fact that there's essentially like a landing area that's outside of that proposed door, and then there's the concrete steps that will come up to it. But that section is what's really encroaching into the setback, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is, there's like a small setback and bigger,
Right.
just barely into this.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, is it going to be covered? Will it be covered, the landing?
There will be, at the entryway, some type of rain block, you know what I mean? Like over the doorway.
Right, but it's not going to be like...
So it won't be covered like the porch on the right.
Okay, so it's not completely enclosed, just a cover for,
Right,
like, for rain?
just the steps, handrail, obviously, and the door to go into the upper room.
Thank you.
Mr. Neely, do you have a question?
My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Feel free to take a seat then.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Please feel free to come forward to the mic. And just state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Kylie Wolf, and I live 120 Burke Street. And I am the ex-wife. And Eric is very good-hearted person, and his motion makes me emotional too. But right now, I rent a two-bedroom apartment, and I live by myself, and the prices keep going up. And I don't need all the space I have right now, so I'm actually the one who's considering moving back, I call it, to my old house. And our son lives there, and I'm in favor also because the first floor has a bathroom, kitchen, and I call it 2 living rooms. And right now, this 1 living room is not used for its purpose. It's wasted to have tenants walking, using it as a hallway, so it's like a wasted room. And I'm interested, of course, occupying it. I'm considering living there myself, and I would like to take care of the yard and make the place a little bit better. And the egress that we're planning to put there is a very basic, just 3-step height from the floor ground, and in the same color because we were thinking to build it with that cement. Right now the border of the house is like light gray color. The cement would just blend in perfectly, so it wouldn't visibly being any different. It would be very like blend into the house, cosmetic look like it is right now. So that's all I wanted to add in.
Good. Any questions from the board? Right, thank you. Feel free to take a seat. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody who'd like to speak with any questions, concerns, or opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open the deliberations of the board. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Neely.
So I am, excuse me, in favor of this application. So as we've all noticed, this is a very irregular shaped lot, and the house and the garage are facing two different directions. The house almost looks like it's kitty-cornered to Burke and Alds. Meanwhile, the garage is straight on for Burke. So when you look at the house, there's this little cutout here, and this is all hidden behind a stone wall. This is a very minor encroachment for the stairway. What it's really going to do is open up economic opportunity for these folks, and I think it'd be a shame not to allow this based on the way this lot is set up. I mean, this house is really tight in this lot. There's not a lot of room to do anything here. So really, for those reasons, I am in favor of this request.
Other thoughts? Mr. Boucher.
I am also in favor of the application. I also note that in this neighborhood, there are some houses that are pretty much within the current setbacks, so there isn't much opportunity, other opportunities depending on layout of the house. The house next door is same issue, some of the houses. So I think it's reasonable. I think it won't, it'll fit in with the neighborhood. So I'm going to support the application.
Any other thoughts? Anybody want to make a motion? Mr. Neely.
I would like to make a motion to approve the variance request for the Eric P. Wolf Revocable Trust owner, 39 Alt Street, Sheet 15, Lot 30, requesting a variance from Land Use Code Section 190-16, Table 16-3 to encroach 6 feet into the 10-foot required front yard setback on Burke Street to construct an exterior staircase to provide egress to the second floor. This is in the RB zone in Ward 7. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. As the board discussed, there are other houses in this area that are also right up against the street line. We did note that the plot is irregularly shaped, with the house kind of kitty-cornered with a double frontage on Burke and Ald Street, and it's got the garage right up against the garage, which is not attached. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed. What these folks are trying to do is to do an extra egress, basically a 4-foot stair to a concrete landing to allow them to open up the house and build a stairway to allow the second floor tenants to access their area in a more reasonable way. Granting the variance would do substantial justice in that the applicant and the potential tenant did say that they are losing space inside due to the irregular setup of the current staircase. In order to open up space in the house, we should allow this landing on the exterior as that will open up space inside for the living situation. We had no testimony either way that the value of the surrounding property would be increased or diminished. As to the special conditions of the property, we did discuss that strict conformance could not be done due to the fact that this is an irregular shaped lot right up against Burke Street. There is a stone pathway, a stone wall that's going to hide what they're trying to do. And therefore, for those reasons, I do make a motion to approve the variance.
Is there a second? Mr. Boucher. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor? And your variance application passes. So as I mentioned before, there is a 30-day window of appeal. Again, I think that's unlikely, given the lack of opposition, but you are free to proceed with your project. So good luck. No, but if you have any concerns, you will get a notice of decision, but you're, right. So it'll be sent out tomorrow, but you are free to move ahead, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact Mr. Falk. All right, I'm now going to read the third case. This is the application of G&K Troxel, 2022 Revocable Trust. Nathaniel Braley is applicant, 8 Dunlop Drive, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to convert an existing attached 2-car garage into an accessory dwelling unit. This is in the R18 zone in Ward 2.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it is. My name is Nathaniel Braley. I live at 13 Parker Lane in Hollis, New Hampshire. I'm speaking on behalf, acting as the agent of Christy Troxel, who is the homeowner at 8 Dunlop Drive. What we're proposing to do is to turn a 2-bay existing garage that is attached to the home into essentially a space for the existing homeowner, Christy Troxel. Her husband passed away about 4 months ago, and her daughter essentially moved in to take over the mortgage of the main portion of the home to sort of assist with finances. And we're turning the garage into a place for her to live, essentially. The main door to the main house will remain as it has since 1984. The only aesthetical change from the outside will be the voiding of the garage doors. In the stead of the garage doors will be 2 60-inch wide by 52-inch height double windows on the front, which would essentially keep the colonial appearance of the home, which it technically is up in that neighborhood. Most of the houses are kind of a colonial type look. It would keep that. It would keep that sort of look. There is no change whatsoever in the blueprint of the actual garage. It's 616 square feet. The driveway itself is about 50 feet long and 18 feet wide, which is, more than enough to be able to fit, they've said in the past they've had as many as 8 vehicles in the driveway. It's on a cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac itself is roughly 85 feet wide with nothing in the center. It's just all open pavement. So in the event that she did need to park on the side of the road, which I know is one of the requirements, she most certainly could. As far as the, I think I already touched base on the characteristic of the neighborhood. The fluidity of the design of the exterior will keep the colonial appearance quite well. In fact, I think it would look even better without the old garage doors myself. Also, I'll go through the affidavit was signed by her. I'm sure you guys are all looking at that right now anyways. We're going to be using Western red cedar, which is the same exact type of siding material that has been existing on the home since its conception in 1984. It might have been replaced at some point, but Western red cedar lasts for quite some time. We're going to be using the same material, same color. Nothing from the road will change whatsoever besides, like I said, the voiding of the 2 garage doors and the voiding of the side entry door on the front. We're going to wall that in, and so it'll even lead to more of an appearance of sort of almost look like more of an addition, sort of, smooth transition versus having another door there. We'll be building a deck in the back, which will be roughly, I believe, 8 by 18. I think I brought more of my special exemptions notes with me than the building department notes. We're going to essentially build a small loft bedroom, which I'm currently talking with Mark Collins about, and we're pretty much there. Not quite, almost, but it's just going to be a place for Christy to be able to sort of live and grieve at the same time, I suppose. And she couldn't be here herself just due to the fact that she's in no place to be able to do something like this. So, as far as the public utilities, her husband is minus, one household member, unfortunately. So I don't believe that there'll be any, increased usage in the sewer. It's a 2,600 square foot house, I believe, roughly. So, it's more than capable of handling the people that are there. Yeah, I think that's kind of really all I have to say for now. Something might pop up, though.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions of the applicant? If not, you're free to take a seat unless there's something else you'd like to add.
I don't think so.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
Have a seat. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody in the audience with any questions, concerns, or opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open the deliberations of the board. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Neely?
So I'm in favor of this application. This is pretty straightforward. The affidavit has been signed. I think what I really wanted to point out is that we have received applications for garages in the past we made into ADUs. And this is one of the best plans I think we've seen of a garage that's being converted, the full garage. A lot of times we get we're going to throw a wall up, and I mean, they're putting windows in here as he stated, it's going to look like just part of the house, like his original. I love the circular staircase there up to a loft. I mean, this is well thought out, well put together. So for those reasons, I'm in full favor of this.
Other thoughts? Yeah, I would agree. I think it's well thought out, and it will certainly fit into the neighborhood. And it looks like it was probably, as noted, in addition to the house. So. Anybody want to make a motion? Mr. Boucher.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special exception for the G&K Troxel 2022 Revocable Trust owner, Nathaniel Braley, applicant, 8 Dunlap Drive, Sheet G, Lot 458, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to convert an existing attached 2-car garage into an accessory in-law dwelling unit in the R18 zone, Ward 2. We find that the requested use is listed in a special exception, as a special exception in the use matrix as just described. We find that the requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. We find that the requested use will not overload any public water drainage or sewer system or any other municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare. We find that the accessory dwelling unit affidavit has been signed by the owner of the property, so that's fulfilled. We find that the requested use will not impair the integrity or be out of character with the district or immediate neighborhood in which it is located, nor be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. So with that, I make a motion to approve the special exception.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor? And your application is granted. I think you've heard me say before, 30-day window of appeal, unlikely, so, but you're free to move forward with the project. You can leave, unless you're interested. Yes. Thank you so much. Absolutely. All right, next we have the application of Jonathan De Silva and Lisa, I'm going to say this wrong, owner Zaving, 333 Lake Street, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to allow an accessory dwelling unit to be built over a proposed attached two-car garage after removal of the existing attached one-car garage. This is in the RA zone, Ward 6. Welcome, and feel free to state your name and address and tell us what you want to do and why.
Sure. Good evening. Jonathan De Silva, 333 Lake Street, Nashua, New Hampshire.
Good evening. I'm Lisa De Silva, 333 Lake Street in Nashua, New Hampshire.
So we'll start with the why and then get to the how, right? So my in-laws are getting much older now, and they live in Massachusetts, and it's much harder to commute from Nashua to Massachusetts to take care of them. In our culture, we don't believe in, putting our parents or our grandparents, our in-laws in nursing homes. We want to take care of them and support them. And so as they're getting older into their 80s now, we've realized that, they need the support and someone there to take care of them and support them. So we decided the best interest was to have them move in with us. And so what we'd like to do is, take down our existing garage, be able to, build something large enough for them to live in. And so by having a two-car garage, it gives us an appropriate square feet to put a little ADU above our home that'll provide them the privacy and dignity of living on their own while having us right next door. And so for us, it was very big, very important to us to allow them to have their life while living with us. And that's why we had set it up, as you can see from the plans, like a little miniature apartment for them. They'll have their own kitchen, their own bathroom, their own living room, and they'll have their bedroom as well. And so for us, it's what we really want to do is just provide a safe space to take care of my wife's parents and to be able to provide them with the care they need, and also provide them with a home that they can call theirs without feeling like they're starting over again.
Makes sense. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, you guys have the plans. My contractor's here if we have any questions as well, Chris. When it gets to the nitty-gritty, because that I don't know. He just shows me pretty pictures and I nod my head.
Very good. Any questions from the board? All right, if not, you're free to take a seat.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody who has any questions, concerns, or opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open the deliberations of the board. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Lionel.
Now, I'm in favor of this application. It sounds like a great plan, and I wish them success.
Any other thoughts? Mr. Shaw.
I'm also in support. All the criteria are met for the special exception, so we should approve it.
I agree, and it's a nice-looking plan. Mr. Neely.
So it is interesting, because when you look at their current single garage, there's looks like two-car widths of pavement to the left of it. So we'll actually be removing some pavement by putting this garage in, which I think is a positive. When I look at the other houses right around this one, with the exception of number 331, everything else is a two-floor. It's going to look very, very similar to what they're proposing here. So it's not like they're building a big monstrosity in the middle of a bunch of single-family, capes. So really, this is going to look great when it's done. So I'm in favor of this.
Anybody like to make a motion? Mr. Lionel.
She introduced herself as Lisa De Silva.
Yes.
I'm going to use that. Okay. I'd like to make a motion on behalf of owners Jonathan and Lisa De Silva, owners of 333 Lake Street, sheet 88, lot 7, requesting special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to allow an accessory or in-law dwelling unit to be built over a proposed attached two-car garage after removal of an existing attached one-car garage. This is in the RA Zone Ward 6. The board has found that the requested use is listed as a special exception in the use matrix. We believe that the requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. The board believes that the requested use will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system or other municipal system. The board finds that all the special regulations that have been set forth have been fulfilled, and the requested use will not impair the integrity or be out of character with the district or immediate neighborhood in which it is located, nor be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. So I make a motion to approve this special exception.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Neely. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? And your application passes unanimously. So good luck with your project. Of course, you've heard me say 30-day window of appeal. Pretty unlikely, I think, in this case, but you're free to proceed. Next is the case of Rachel Cecile Picard Revocable Trust, the owners, at 18 Boylston Avenue, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to allow an accessory dwelling unit to be built over an attached garage for a house to be constructed. This is in the RA zone in Ward 3. Welcome, and if you would mind just stating your name and address for the record.
Yes, sure. Hi, my name is Mary Ann Picard. My address is 24 Cabot Drive in Nashua. And the purpose of this request tonight, as you know, is to add an additional dwelling unit to a new home build. And that is directly behind us. We live at 24 Cabot Drive. 18 Boylston Street is directly behind us. And it's as we prepare for retirement and for our future. Is to add this accessory dwelling unit of approximately 640 square feet to the new home build proposal. The proposed ADU will be attached to the primary structure. It will be approximately 640 square feet in size. It will include 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room, and a full bath. The unit will provide housing for my husband and I. This, again, is new construction, to answer question number 2. There is plenty of parking. There's a 3-car garage. There is no need for additional on-site parking. There'll be no effect on the surrounding traffic congestion or pedestrian safety. It's on a cul-de-sac, and it's at the end of the cul-de-sac. What measures will be taken to ensure that your proposal will not impair the integrity? To ensure that the proposed ADU will not impair the integrity of the zoning district or be out of character with the immediate neighborhood, the following measures will be taken. Architectural compatibility, design, materials, roof line, and finishes of the proposed ADU will match or complement the proposed residence and surrounding properties, maintaining visual continuity. Scale and setbacks. The proposed ADU will meet all requirements. Landscaping and screening. Landscaping will be used to provide privacy. Traffic and parking, which I already addressed, will be in compliance with zoning requirements. Neighborhood parking, there will be 1 additional off-street parking space. Use and occupancy, use is residential and is consistent with the existing neighborhood character. Other, as the owner, we will live in the ADU. There will be no new entrances or exits for the ADU on the front or street-facing side of the house. There will be no new curb cuts from the street. An interior door will connect the primary dwelling and the ADU. The primary home and the ADU will remain under the same ownership and will not be separately sold or converted to condominium. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Mr. Lionel.
Hi, well, I'm one of your immediate neighbors on Cabot Drive.
I was thinking you looked familiar as a walker.
Yeah. Just this sort of personal curiosity, are you planning on moving from 24 to this new house? Is that the idea?
Yes, yeah, 24 Cabot, well, it's a beautiful house, and so you know firsthand that it was an extreme makeover that we did to that house. You would know that from seeing it. It is a difficult house. It has a steep driveway. As we get older, we do feel like it's going to be, just more and more difficult. So we would like to go ahead and make this decision to do this now at this point.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't even aware that there was a separate lot behind your house. Did you split that off earlier?
We did, yes.
Okay. Understand. All right, thank you. That's all.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions from the board? Anything you'd like to add?
I think I covered it all, unless
Okay.
something I missed, but I think I got it.
Oh, then feel free to take a seat.
Awesome, thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody who has any questions, concerns, or opposition to this application? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open up the deliberations of the board. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Leno?
I understand exactly what she says, because I know that house very well. But yes, it's not the best place for people growing older. And I think what they've planned is fine, and look forward to, I guess, getting new neighbors at some point.
Any other thoughts? Mr. Shah?
All criteria are met. Don't have any issues or concerns with the application.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's one of the cases that we don't see too often where somebody is building a whole new house with the ADU, so it's obviously completely integrated into the design. Anybody who'd like to make a motion? Mr. Shaw?
I'd like to make a motion on behalf of the Rachel Cecile Picard Revocable Trust, owners of 18 Boylston Ave, sheet 54, lot 126, requesting special exception from Land Use Code, Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to allow an accessory in-law dwelling unit to be built over an attached garage for a house to be constructed. This is in the RA zone, Ward 3. The requested use is listed as a special exception in the use matrix, as I just noted in the description of the request. The requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. There should not be any expectation of any overload of public water drainage or sewer systems or any other municipal systems to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare. The special regulations by testimony and application will be fulfilled regarding the affidavit for an ADU. And the requested use will not impair the integrity, be out of character with the district or immediate neighborhood in which it is located. It will be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. As we were just discussing, will be new construction, and the ADU will be fully integrated into the construction. So there will be no expectation that there would be any obvious aspect to there being an ADU as part of this construction. And for those reasons and meeting the criteria, I move to approve this special exception request.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lionel. Any discussion? If not, all of those in favor? So you're, oh, there you are. So application is approved. I think you've probably heard my spiel about the 30 days, but you're free to proceed with your project. So next is the application of Jeffrey and Carrie Whitman, owners, at 1 York Way Drive, requesting the following. A special exception from Land Use Code Section 190-15, Table 15-1, Number 3, to allow an accessory dwelling unit, and 2, a variance from Local Land Use Code Section 190-32B1 to exceed the maximum area permitted for an accessory dwelling unit, 750 square feet permitted, 1,056 square feet proposed. Both requests to construct an attached two-car garage with an accessory dwelling unit above the garage. This is in the R9 zone in Ward 5. So after you state your name and address for the record, I'm just going to suggest, talk to us about the ADU, what it is you want to do, and then maybe get into the variance and kind of explain why you are proposing to exceed the 750 square foot area requirement.
Good evening. Jeff Whitman, 1 Yorkway Drive. So the reason for the request is my daughter's actually in labor right now, having her first baby. Her and her husband have been looking for homes, and the homes in our neighborhood are a little out of their price range. So I had asked them if they would like to potentially live in the main house if we could build an ADU for myself, my wife, and my son. He's graduating high school tomorrow. So we intend on staying there for another 20 years. We've lived there for 20 years now. I'd like to, potentially have the family home for years to come. So it's a 3-bedroom house that we live in now. I wouldn't need 3 bedrooms. So I'd like to do an ADU with 2 bedrooms. The size of it being over 750, basically it's still, full living space for myself, my wife, and my son. I'd like the garage, if we're gonna do construction, I'd like to take the advantage of adding some storage and some garage space, which we don't have. Based on other houses in the neighborhood, if we do the addition, it isn't necessarily out of place. I'd like to mimic basically what we have now. Height-wise on existing dwelling is 20 feet. I'd like to do a slab adjacent to it. So therefore, the new peak would be 24 to 26 feet in height, because I wouldn't have a cellar. But, I would add, I think it's like 350 square feet of driveway space. Right now, there's enough for 4 vehicles. I figure we could do 2 more. I know some of the rules are no doorways on the front. It's a corner lot, so I'd have to do an egress in the rear, which would be west facing. So we'd do a walkway around. And I'd like to do a door between the 2 dwellings. I think that is a requirement. I don't see that being an issue. I didn't have any architecturals or anything done because I didn't want to spend the money if the board had denied the application. So I kind of did a floor plan based on what I'd like to do. So with approval, then I would get designs and everything and submit them for approval.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so, no.
Questions from the board? Mr. Neely?
What's the square footage on the house? Ballpark.
Ballpark, it's 1,800.
Okay.
It's listed as like 1,000, but it's a finished basement. So factoring that in, it's about 1,800 square, 3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Any other questions from the board? If not, anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right, feel free to take a seat. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward.
My name is Peggy Simone. I live at 904 West Hollis Street in Nashua, next door to the Whitmans. Several years ago, I came before this board with a request for a variance for a similarly sized ADU above my garage, which was granted. So I think that in view of that, the 2-car garage with the 1052 ADU above it would be a very good fit for the neighborhood. The Whitmans have been good neighbors, and we would like to support their family in their quest for affordable housing for their daughter, much as my adult single mother, daughter needed affordable housing to live with our family.
Any questions from the board? All right, thank you. So if there's nothing else that you'd like to add, then I am going to close the public hearing and open up the deliberations of the board. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Neely?
So I'm in favor of this application. You know, how many times have we sat here and it's all about, we can't afford, my family can't afford to live in these neighborhoods, and that's really the root of what's going on here. You know, the applicant is basically selflessly, in my opinion, and congratulations on the grandchild coming here, hopefully very soon, and the graduation. You got a lot going on here. Yeah, I bet. So the applicant is going from basically 1,800 square feet with you know, 3 people down to 1,056 square feet for 3 people. So they can give the 1,800 square feet to a daughter and son and a significant other. So for those reasons, I'm certainly in favor of the variance for the 1,056 versus the 750. As to the special exception, when you look around that neighborhood, the architecture is all over the place. I noted in my notes that 2 York Way, which is right across the street, will look very similar to what they're proposing. So this will definitely fit very well into the neighborhood. We've now heard from the neighbor, and I do remember your case from 904 West Hollis, and I thought that was a successful case there as well. You can tell when you look at 904, it's, you know, a few families living in a house with an ADU and a regular size house. So that certainly is in character of what's going on in this neighborhood. So I am in favor of this application for those reasons.
So my struggle is with the special conditions in the land. We've seen a number of cases where people have requested a larger ADU, and it's because they're putting it in the basement of an existing house, and the square footage is the square footage, or it's above an existing garage, and very similarly, the space is kind of the driver. It doesn't make sense to leave dead space. In this case, it's brand new construction, so it's obviously completely within the power of the owner to build larger or smaller. So I guess just help me with that. That's where I struggle. Mr. Shaw.
I still have a bit of that struggle too, and I think it's a tricky kind of thing because, in one sense, we can't really tell with certainty, but it does seem like there's motivation to build a larger footprint for the garage because of additional storage and essentially accomplishing that part of the goal. And then if that's the initial factor, then the 1,050 or so square footage above is essentially been determined by that first floor footprint. I guess there's a bit of question about is it at some reasonable kind of tipping point that it still could be divided up with 300 square feet usable for other function up above and adhering to the 750, or is that where there's not a great practical usage because you also have, I guess, maybe it could also be storage, but just to provide access to that level, you'd be talking about having to have something else that would be, maybe it would have to have its own stairs or a door to the outside or something like that. So I think there's a question of how impractical it might be to utilize that space for something else. And so I feel like I'm kind of like on the fence, or I'm struggling to see but if I go with the belief that it's based on the footprint of the garage, then I think it's much more reasonable. If the footprint of the garage was kind of determined by wanting a larger space above, but we don't really know that with certainty. I just know, the applicant did talk about wanting the storage space in the garage when building this. So I guess I'd like to hear the other board members' thoughts as well.
Mr. Boucher.
I'm also going to support the application, and again, the thought of the size of the garage, again, is driving, in this case, the square footage request because of the construction and the existing home, how it's placed. Given an opportunity, I would certainly build a very large garage because I like to work on cars. I do kinds of carpentry stuff, so I would always take the advantage for that, also for storage. So yes, at face value, you could say that looks like a lot, but I know from experience and from family members who have built deeper garages. So in this case here, my thought was, again, we're like 300 over, approximately, square feet over. If that would have if that could have been cut up, like Mr. Shaw said, but again, from the outside, would anybody know it was cut up or not? And I think, again, as noted, I think there is some, not everything, but like I said, it's a very big mix in that neighborhood, but there are some larger pieces of, there are some homes that have some garages or additions that are large, so I don't think it's really out of place. I think that the usage of it, again, is not going to take away or take anything away from the public's rights in that respect. So again, yes, it's 300 square feet over. The driver, again, is the garage. Wanting to have that extra space, again, instead of having things maybe outside or whatever their usage, or maybe we want to put 2 cars deep into the garage. I don't know. So I think it's reasonable here. Again, West Hollis Street is a major type of road. We have a lot of different things on West Hollis Street, so I don't think it would be out of place in that area. So I'm going to support the application for those reasons.
Mr. Patry and then Mr. Leno.
I would also support the application. I think that denying this would create an unnecessary hardship to the homeowner. I don't see sort of a tie between the goal and purposes of the ordinance that would necessitate us denying this. I just think it creates a burden to him that I don't think the ordinance necessarily requires.
Mr. Leno.
Yeah, at first I was kind of skeptical about this because of its new construction, and they could, as has been stated, they could have built it within the limits. But then I said to myself, well, what if they had decided to build the garage just as a garage? They didn't need to come before us for that. And then later said, oh, we would like to build an ADU above the garage. Now, that's much more what we've seen in the past. And we've said, okay, it's an existing garage, it doesn't make any sense to carve it up, and yes, you can have the existing space because it's over an existing garage. So is there really a difference in this case? And that kind of tilted me in favor of supporting the application.
Any other thoughts? Mr. Shaw.
I mean, one more thing, and it kind of speaks a little bit more to maybe spirit and intent of the ordinance in one sense, but I mean, it seems that, the general idea with the ADUs, and I think there's been obviously a lot of discussion at the state level, and there's been a lot of movement towards making ADUs like this, just in general, much more of something that's supported. And I think, based on tonight's agenda and what we've been seeing, I think a lot of people are seeing that as something that makes sense, for lots of different reasons and current housing situation, et cetera. But if I kind of come back to, I think the general idea, at some point there's an argument that's made about, not wanting people's use of ADUs to start to basically bring homes to be more like 2-family homes, versus the idea of a single-family home with, again, a quote, accessory use. And I think the square footage has been generally with an intent, and I think the square footage that was established was some intention to skew things that way. So it's not going to be easy to just, create what would function like a two-family home. Obviously, there's some other constraints to the way even like we see with the affidavit and the requirements for these ADUs. But I do think there's somewhere, maybe not too far above the 1,000 square foot, maybe it's 1,200, maybe it's somewhere more, but where I do think it will, to me, would start to be even more called into question about the functionality of it being an ADU versus just a second unit in a home, even if it's still called an ADU. So I think this is near that, this is pushing that threshold, and I think generally these kind of, it seems like mostly we've had these either, well, I guess we've had both. We either have these over garage ones or we've had the basement ones too. And I think we've seen quite a few of them that have landed right in this like very low 1,000 square foot type of range. And I think there's been a general feeling of comfort with that because, again, I think it's still skewing more towards the use as ADU as opposed to a sense that it's more like a second unit, fully independent. So I think I just wanted to throw that out just for a thought. I appreciated Mr. Lionel's kind of thought process about like, yeah, almost going back to what I just said, like if it had happened where the garage was already built and then, a year or 2 years later, whatever, there was this request, I'm not sure we would hesitate. So I think it's still a little bit trickier because we are talking about new construction, so there's choices being made. But again, there's also, I think there was reasons given for why they wanted the first floor and the garage itself to be the size it was. So I guess I've come to a level of comfort with this. It's still some concern, but I think I can support it.
Right, any other thoughts? So this is going to require 2 motions. I think first we should take the variance, and then we should take the special exception. Anybody want to take a stab at it? If not, I'll do it. Oh, you can do it?
Give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for Jeffrey and Carrie Whitman, owners of 1 York Way Drive, Sheet D, Lot 340, requesting the following variance from Land Use Code, Section 190-32, Section B, Section 1, to exceed maximum area permitted for an accessory dwelling unit, 750 square feet permitted, 1,056 square feet proposed, to construct an attached 2-car garage with an accessory dwelling unit above the garage. It's now 9 Zone Ward 5. We find that the granting of the variance would not be contrary to public interest because it allows the homeowner to provide housing for their family. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed, again, because it allows, excuse me, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because, again, it allows the homeowner to construct this ADU with the extra overage. The granting of the variance would do substantial justice to the homeowner in allowing him to construct this ADU and provide more living space for his family. There is no testimony on the values of the surrounding properties. And again, special conditions that distinguish this, or special conditions that of the property that would distinguish from other properties, that would result in unnecessary hardship. Again, there is very mixed types of homes in this stretch of West Hollis Street. And we find that the proposal is reasonable because, again, it allows the homeowner to expand his home. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the area variance.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Neely. Any discussion? Mr. Shaw?
I'd actually like to ask if you could maybe amend your motion to specifically note that we have no reason to believe there would be any negative effects on surrounding property values. Because I think you noted that there wasn't any testimony one way or the other, but I think it's important, and maybe we don't do it quite enough, but I think it's one of those areas that I think we are supposed to at least weigh in on that, even if it's to say, I think it's more important that we note if we're trying to support an application that we don't believe there's any indication of negative property values. So I just would like to have that clarified.
Yes, amended.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and that's okay with the secretary? All right, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? All right, so the variance application is granted. Anybody want to make a motion? Do you want to take the special exception?
I'd like to make a special exception for Jeffrey and Carrie Whitman, owners of 1 Yorkway Drive, Sheet D, Lot 340, requesting a special exception from Land Use Code, Section 190-15, Table 15-1, number 3, to allow an accessory in-law dwelling unit. We find that a requested use is listed in the, as a special exception in the use matrix. We find that the requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. We find that the requested use will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system or any other municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the city will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare. The accessory dwelling unit after David has been signed by the applicant, and that's fulfilled. The requested use will not impair the integrity of the other character with the district or immediate neighborhood in which it is located, nor be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare of the residents of the city. So with that, I make a motion to approve the special exception.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lionel. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? The application passes unanimously. Once again, I think you've heard me say, there is a 30-day window of appeal. Just be mindful of that, but otherwise, you're free to proceed with your project. Thank you. All right. That next takes us to the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes anybody would like to make? Yeah, I got to admit, granted they were short, but I did not see anything.
I don't have any.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Mr. Shaw, is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Boucher. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? All right, and has everybody had a chance to take a look at the agenda for the next meeting? Yes. There is only one case. Regional impact, anyone?
Nope.
I did not think so. I should know, I'm going to be on vacation that week, so I will not be here for the next meeting. Hopefully, we'll be okay for a quorum, and Mr. Neely will be okay.
I will not be here either.
I will be here.
You'll be here. Okay, great. So that should be enough. It's one case. And all right, unless there is anything else, a motion to adjourn. Mr. Shaw, second. I don't think anybody is in objection, so we are adjourned.
7:43.
Thank you, everyone.